Good evening and welcome into the Sportscast with our hosts Craig and Jeff. Jeff, how are you this evening?
Pretty good. I've been pretty good, especially after the tournament that happened.
Yes, sir. We're going to cover the Four Nations tournament that we had in the hockey world. We're going to cover some start of the Major League Baseball season, a new little policy change in New York for the Yankees that Jeff can touch on, and a little bit more. So, you want to start out with the old Four Nations tournament?
Yeah, yeah. Let's go. Let's dive right into it.
Yeah, so little new wrinkle here that they have created for instead of the All Star Weekend, it is the Four Nations tournament where the NHL goes and plays for their home country. We got the U.S., Canada, Sweden, and Finland, and they play a little round robin and then the championship game. Do you watch any of this?
I watched I basically went back and watched the first matchup between U.S. and Canada. I didn't watch a whole lot of it, but I did because I think you and Brian had brought it up. Uh,
Watch the first 9 seconds because that was really all you
yeah,
needed to watch.
yeah. So I definitely went back and then the last one, I was like, dude,
Yeah.
I was hooked
Um,
right away.
so they had the round robin deal, and USA goes through that clean, and basically once they beat Canada head to head, they were locked into the championship game. But in the Sweden game, they lost a couple guys that were real key to what they were looking to do in the matchup with Canada. They still played really well. Matter of fact, they had the lead for almost all of it until the very end when Canada ties it up, and overtime was overtime, 3-on-3, and it gets a little hairy. They put two shots right on Jordan Bennington and Canada wins the Four Nations. But
Yeah.
I like this. I think they're going to do it every few years on the outside. When like next year they'll have the Olympics, so they won't do it. But I think every year that they do not have the Olympics going forward, they'll be doing this instead of your All Star weekend. That kind of has gotten like the NBA. It's just kind of gotten to be unentertaining. So they had to do something to change it up, and this is what they came up with, and I really kind of like it.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it was um, outside of any of the craziness that was going on with the booing and stuff like
Right,
that.
right, and I
It
think
was
that
entertaining to watch. You have two of the, I mean, some of the best players out there, and if
right.
not the best, and um, it was pretty crazy, to see such heart, such effort in a non kind of
Playoff
championship
Stanley Cup,
playoff
yeah.
atmosphere, and it had a championship atmosphere to it. It
Oh,
had a
absolutely.
playoff
These
atmosphere to
guys,
it.
I mean, I don't think you really got a huge trophy or a lot of money or anything like that. They were all playing for the name across the front. In whether it be Canada, whether it be the U.S., even the Finland and the Sweden games, you could tell that they were locked into play for their nation, and man, it was some really good hockey.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, did were there any players that stood out to you in this whole thing? Were there? I know we have Larkin that was right there with the Red Wings.
Right, right.
McKinnon.
Kale McCarr, Kale McCarr misses the first game against the USA, and they said that it was going to be a huge deal because he's one of the best defensemen in the league. He has put himself right up there. He's already they've already won. With him and McKinnon teaming up in Colorado, they play real hockey together, and I don't get to see a bunch of Dylan Larkin.
Yeah,
I don't watch the Red Wing games, but boy, that shot that he had coming down the right wing there, where he just laces one up over the shoulder. of Bennington in the first matchup. Man, that kid's lightning fast on skates. And I know it was funny because here he is, he's the top guy in Detroit, and on this USA team, he's playing on the fourth line.
Yeah.
That's how stacked they were going in. I liked both Kachuk brothers. Um, don't really, again, a lot of these guys, except for when they're playing Dallas, you get to see them rarely. But boy, both of those, I remember watching their dad play growing up. Keith Kachuk was a bruiser growing up. He used to throw hands with anybody, and that was back when hockey was hockey, and fighting was a constant. And you saw some of that come out with the Kachuk brothers in that Canada game, where they didn't like the booing of the national anthem, and 9 seconds in, they're squaring up with guys and just throwing haymakers, and are getting in the box, and throwing their hands up and firing the crowd up, and um man, it was just a really, really, I think it was a well run tournament. I'm glad to see that because the one concern you have is injury.
Oh yeah.
Because here they are playing in the end of February. We're now into the last 20 games, 20, 25, 30 games of the season. You don't want to lose your superstar by loaning him out to the nation, and then they come back and they're hurt. So I was a little disappointed in the Austin Matthews showing. He's normally much better of a goal scorer, much better of a in front of the net presence. And I thought Austin Matthews did not have a very good tournament at all. He kind of tried to play better in the championship game. He had the goal in overtime where he had it lined up and just didn't get it elevated fast enough and get it over Bennington's blocker pad. But that was really all you saw from Austin Matthews. But you can't leave the best player in the world wide open, walking down Main Street. He's not going to miss that very often. In Connor McDavid, that guy is really good. I was impressed that Sidney Crosby's still playing hockey. 20 something years later.
Yeah,
I mean,
I say that a lot. I'm like, how is this dude still going?
yeah,
30 37, I think,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Still
yeah,
going. That's
yeah.
crazy.
I mean, he came in the league at 19, and he's every year you think he's going to retire, and every year he comes and signs a new deal, and all every year has been with Pittsburgh. He's a lifer in the Pittsburgh community, um, and you just really can't say enough about him. I mean, he still gets excited. You still see the 19-year-old kid when he laces up the skates, going up and playing for Canada, and playing like that. He still plays with the same heart and the same energy that he played when he was 19. So you gotta like that. But yeah, no. Overall, it was a very good tournament. You played the round robin up in Montreal, up in the Bell Center, and then you played the championship over in Boston, on U.S. soil. And it would have been nice to see the USA. They were trying to win it. They all had the Johnny Gaudreau patches on, and they were trying to kind of play for him and win one for him with the tragedy that happened with him and his brother in the off season. Getting hit by the drunk driver up while they were at a wedding, or supposed to be groomsmen in their sister's wedding, and so yeah, that would have been nice to see for that part of it. But no, overall, it was a really good tournament, and I look forward to the future versions of it going forward, because when you start to put the colors on, and play for your home team, things get a little bit more involved. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, overall, I thought it was really good.
I mean, shout out to McCannon. He's plays for the Avalanche here.
Right.
And so yeah, I mean, I think ended up winning MVP of it. So
As
pretty
Willie should have. Yeah,
yeah.
he played a really good tournament. He had the goal when they played the first game. And that guy is definitely a thorn in the side of Dallas Star fans. Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar give them fits every time they play and line up with Chicago or with Colorado.
Yeah, yeah. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think Brian did a live video
Yeah,
yesterday, I think.
yeah, he wanted me to, and I just got tied up at work, and I had some training that day, and didn't get home till late, and didn't get a chance to do it
Yeah.
before the championship game. But yeah, um,
Yeah,
we'll be
he kind of he gave his 2 cents. He's not here. His daughter's birthday is today, so it's just Craig and I. But he did. Yeah, if anybody wants to know or see it, he uploaded that up. Just like I think it was a live right when he was at Wingstop getting
yeah,
some wings.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
which is awesome. So, but yeah, I think this is so. I I upload some of these shorts and stuff, and I did a couple regarding this, and for the most part, some of the reaction was pretty good, and some of the comments and stuff that we got were thoroughly like, I wanted the U.S. to win, but it was a good game, and
Oh, it was.
so
It was a really
a-
good game. It goes
and
to overtime. You couldn't ask for anymore.
no, I think anything better would have been a shootout. How
Right,
about that?
right.
But yeah, I mean, I think everybody, I know that it was trending. I know a lot of people were talking about it. Um, and
Oh yeah.
to see hockey be brought up on a bigger scale where
Right.
more eyes are watching it, I think this did that. This worked, and keep doing it because a lot of people
Absolutely.
were talking about it.
Absolutely. All over
Super
Twitter
cool.
and all over the social media. Four nations, four nations, four nations,
Yeah.
and then that fight. The first time around where they had three fights in 9 seconds, and you got six different guys, three in each penalty box. Man, it was a great start to the deal. So yeah, we'll be interested to see when these guys get back to skating. Dallas played tonight and they beat New Jersey 4-2. So they're just now starting to trickle back in to play some games here.
Yeah. There was something funny talked about. I think um it may have been when it was like right when the last at the end of the game. It was like, how are hockey fans gonna go back to regular
Right,
season hockey
right.
after this?
Yeah, it's gonna be like this
Um
is nothing.
yeah.
The
It
emotion.
it might be actually interesting to see them try to do it maybe at the end of, when the season's over, maybe? I don't
Right,
know. It
right.
might be intriguing to have
It, it,
a tournament like that.
Baseball
Um,
does theirs like in the preseason,
right.
and so I don't know. It was the timing of it. I get that they did it for the All Star break, so they used the same time frame. But man, you're taking an awful big risk of a big star getting hurt and
Yeah.
costing their team a deep playoff run if McCarr or McKinnon or Connor McDavid or one of these All Star goalies or something go down. Boy, I'll tell you right now, the Stars would be in a world of hurt. If they'd have lost Ottinger or they'd have lost Thomas Harley or one of these guys that were competing in it. Um, for the rest
Yeah.
of them, they got a 2 week break, and there you can definitely tell that they kind of got their legs back under them after a couple weeks off. So that's good.
Yeah. And, I just think the one out of all of this, the one non, I mean, well, there's a few. This was the most exciting mid-season extravaganza that I've seen in sports in a long time.
Oh, in a long time.
The only other one that I really enjoyed was the Field of Dreams. I thought
Yeah,
that was a fun,
yeah.
awesome, cool setup. Old school baseball type of
Bringing the little
things.
league teams
Yeah, yeah.
out and spending
Super
time
cool.
with them and the
Yeah.
field itself. and then the way the game ends with the guy from the White Sox hitting the home run and walking
Yeah.
it off. You can't script anything like that. That was a very good deal.
Yeah. And that's the
The
thing is like,
Giants played in a Negro League stadium,
yeah.
last year, and that was okay, but it wasn't the Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams was super cool. I
Yeah,
love that kind of stuff. And NFL, I don't know, dude. I didn't pay attention to any of it. I don't think a whole lot of people do.
they don't. I
Um
mean, even though it's flag football now, and they do
yeah,
the different events, the tug of war and the deal,
right.
it's just become kind of like the basketball. I watched
That's another one. That's horrible.
a little bit of the slam dunk contest, but other than that, they got guys. The Spurs guys get eliminated or disqualified from the dribble the skills competition because they went instead of shooting the 3 pointers, they just threw the ball off the rack so they could get
Get the
back
time.
and the time and
Yeah.
yeah, and they were like, you can't do that, guys.
Yeah. I mean, so other than that, I think it was awesome. I think that, this is a blueprint for sports franchises going forward when it comes to some interesting either midseason or end of season
Right,
play. And I
right,
think as we get more into international stuff, it'll be fascinating to see something like that outside of the Olympics.
right.
And
They
yeah,
kind of took the Olympic format and brought it into an all-star time frame, so
yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Let's see. I think definitely needed to we need to talk about baseball a bit. I know
Absolutely.
I know there's a couple other things, but there's a couple of things I know that people are paying attention to right now. It is something that I think is, I don't know if it was addressed on here last time or not. Did you guys talk about the Robo Umpire stuff or
No, we did not.
no? Okay. Um, let's talk about that. You and I like baseball.
Yeah,
It's our sport of choice.
right.
So I so far I think it's awesome. I think it's interesting. Um, I love that kind of where they show it kind of going in from like the catcher's eye view of it hitting the zone, not hitting the zone. It so far, I think this is a step in the right direction to fix some of the problems, definitely some of the problems, the major problems that were happening last season, um, that I saw. Some really bad calls.
Oh yeah,
Um,
you would see these. They started to post the umpire scorecards,
yeah,
after these games, and some of these guys, 60 and 70%, of you just can't have that in these kind of games like that. And there'd always be in the scorecard two or three critical calls where it changed the game, flip flop the lead change, or let a team back in the game, and
yeah.
yeah, it's gotten really really bad. It's I don't know what they and there seems to be no consequence. That's the problem. The guys they finally made Angel Hernandez retire.
Yeah.
Um,
He was the
he
biggest
was
culprit.
probably he was probably the world's worst at it. And he was bad everywhere. He just wasn't bad behind the plate. He was bad everywhere.
Right.
Fair, foul, first base out. I mean, he was bad everywhere. But I think if they can harness the technology and get it right, I think it speeds up the game. I think
Yes.
it accurate. It causes the accuracy. I think you know. Now my call is what are they going to do? Are they still going to have somebody stand back there, or because what happens for the play at the plate? Does somebody else have to come down and make the call at home plate? If because we can't have the Robo guy making calls at home plate. It's not a real umpire. He's just
Right.
strike zone. So
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be kinks to iron out in this. I don't know if they're for sure are they putting it into actual play in regular season games this year, or are we
I don't
just
think
focused on,
so. I think the idea was to try it in spring training and see what everybody thought. Now I don't know. Maybe if it's a full blown success and 95% of the teams are like, yeah, we're in. I'm tired of Joe West being back there, like Helen Keller calling balls and strikes.
yeah,
Yeah, then maybe. But I think the goal is to put it full blown next season. Is the way I
okay,
read it,
okay,
and just use
yeah,
it
and
for spring training and kind of give everybody a an
a taste,
idea of taste of is it really accurate?
yeah,
Is it deal? Is it feasible? Does it cut the game time down? And kind of just give it a dry run during spring training where these games don't matter. So if it's horrible, if it's worse than what the guys are doing, then they can just go, yeah, that's not going to work, or we got to tweak it and we can get rid of it and move on.
yeah, and I think this is, you know, um, I think this whole Robo thing and the MLB is pioneering this.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see this in more sports,
Well, I think we
where,
should.
I mean, NFL's been kind of one of them.
Right.
And
Uh,
so go
the
ahead.
technology's there to like
Yeah.
put the tracker in the football to where the call we saw in the Super Bowl of did he make it, did he not make it? That's simple. Just check the chip in the football. Where did the ball cross the line? Then that's where the spot is. You're not leaving it to the judgment. It takes the judgment out of it.
Yeah, and the other thing too, it's very possible because they have all this technology stuff. You could even apply that to some of the pads, or some of the stuff that they have, to where
The math.
if it is a dog pile, right, and you can't necessarily see where his knee is or where his elbow is, or all that kind of stuff. Then when you analyze that data and you look at it, you can then have like some kind of mock skeleton deal where you can see where his elbow hit and see where the ball was. So it's just like, a lot of this stuff is coming. But I'm happy to see, I see it in baseball first, and we're the guinea pigs, right? To get all this stuff ironed out a little bit. Um, but I'm super excited for it. And they've been testing this stuff out in Double A,
Yeah.
and in Triple A and stuff, in the minors for a while. So we're finally getting to see some of that,
The
with MLB
tweaks coming.
players,
Yeah.
right? So
AI's coming, brother. It's taking over the world, and I think you of all people know that.
oh
So,
yeah,
you know, I think it helps. I think it helps. I think it
yeah,
helps the speed of the game. I think it helps the accuracy. And I think it saves some of these guys' arms from having to throw 10 extra pitches. And
yeah.
and yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Um, I guess let's go ahead and talk about NFL draft. I know that is the up and coming big thing for football. NFL fans, people are excited to see who's going to be number one. Maybe people are excited who was the first quarterback's gonna get picked up. Um, so what's the date on that, real quick? I cannot, in the top of my head, think of the
I don't want to
actual
say
draft
I don't
date
want to
and
say
time.
April, but let me look. April 24th. April 24th through the 26th, the Thursday night.
Okay. Um, see. So my whole thing is we're getting close. We're a few months away.
Yeah.
Is there any possibilities that you see that may be a shocker, or draft picks coming up I mean, is Shador going to be a high profile pick? Is he going to drop? is Travis Hunter going to be the number 1 pick? That's a lot of questions that people have been asking lately, at least from what I hear.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hunter holds more value because of the ability to play both sides of the ball. But it's going to decide who drafts him. Is that their plan? Are they drafting him to play both sides of the ball, or are they only drafting him to play one side of the ball? He's a better corner than he is a wide receiver, in my opinion. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I think and that was the thing that Brian and I had talked about before, where we talk about how that dual player, that dual threat,
right.
right?
It's like the
And
Shohei Otani in
exactly.
baseball. You know,
I personally am a defensive guy. I like defense, and some people prefer offense. So when Travis Hunter is being tossed around, I think Brian, I I like him as a wide receiver, but I have to lean towards as a cornerback. I just think that he's amazing
right?
defensively, and I think
Yeah.
that's such
He
an ignored thing. That I mean, dude, shutting down a wide receiver, you can change a game with that, an
and I
entire
think
game.
whoever drafts him will put him on the defensive side of the ball and then build some packages, some wildcat packages or some
Right.
packages that he comes in on a third down or whatever. And he'll play both sides of the ball, but not like he does in college where he's playing 85 plays a game. And I mean, that's just not sustainable.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
double your chance for injury, you double your chance for deal. Um,
I know in terms of a lot of people talk about these top picks and in terms of team needs
right.
and everything in terms of draft order and stuff. And I know right now, Jacksonville is in need of a cornerback. Um, uh, and I personally don't think Travis Hunter is going to get dropped to 5. I That would be kind of shocking to me.
Yeah, I don't think he drops out the first three. I mean, I really don't. Honestly, I think he's probably one or two.
Yeah.
Um,
Granted, Tennessee needs a lot more help than just him, but
but
um,
see, that's the thing with all these teams in the top 4 or 5. They need a
yeah,
lot more help than just one guy.
yeah, and
There's
I don't
talk of
know.
the Giants trying to get um, the quarterback from the Rams and trade for him, and they've offered. The Rams have granted Stafford the ability to go out and talk to other teams and try to get a deal in place that works for both of them and the Rams. So I think his time in LA is done, which
Yeah,
he says he's still got some time in the tank. So I think it's going to depend on that, like the pre-draft moves, on where these teams sit and did the Giants go get a quarterback? Well, okay, then they don't need one in the draft. Or do they get Stafford and then draft Sanders to sit a year under Stafford? My problem with Shadur Sanders is I don't think the level of competition in the Big 12 is going to translate to the NFL real well. I think you're going to see him struggle immensely when he gets to the NFL. Now, does that mean he can't be a good quarterback? No, it just means he's not going to be a good quarterback right away in the NFL. Because I think the speed of the football, that I've always said this, the biggest jump from college to pro is not basketball, is not baseball. It's college football. From college football to the pro football spell, the speed and the intensity and the way the guys break down the football. If you're not willing to put in more work than anybody, if you're not going to be the first guy in and the last guy out, you're not going to succeed. And you've seen that. You've
Le-
seen
these guys have to have a Mamba mentality kind of thing.
right,
Kind of
right,
similar to Kobe Bryant, where
right,
he's there every day. He's there before
right.
somebody else gets in, and
He's the one opening the door before the janitor even gets there,
exactly.
and but you don't see that very often. That's why has had, and I still stand on this hill that Caleb Williams will not transfer in the NFL because he doesn't have the work ethic to go over there. He just thinks he's going to show up. And, well, everywhere I've gone, I've been the best guy in the room. Well, welcome to the NFL, Caleb. You're no longer the best guy in the room. You're not even the best guy in your team most days. So,
Yeah. And that's the thing is, it's the right fit too for some of these guys. Possibilities wise, I'm not sure what's I this draft is kind of fascinating to me. Mainly because I think there's not an onslaught of quarterbacks that
very
people
top
are
heavy.
yeah,
Very top heavy.
yeah. And so I'm like, I just look at it like I think there's going to be there's a lot of running backs in this one. Which will be fascinating.
Think you'll be able to get those day 2.
Yeah, somebody's getting one in the first round. I can assure you someone's getting.
Somebody will go crazy.
Yeah.
I hope it's not Dallas, but I'm sure it will be.
Yeah. But it's going to be interesting to see the little pieces that come and go, who's drafting up, who's not drafting up. And ultimately, I think it's going to be there's going to be some pieces that I'm actually curious to see where they end up. The running back from Boise State, I'm very intrigued to see where he ends up.
Right.
I hope he ends up with a team that has an awesome offensive line so he can just flourish in where he's at. Yeah. I'm excited to see where Travis Hunter goes. Yeah. I hope that he goes to a team that is kind of ready for something. I just hate to see him kind of diminish in obscurity with Cleveland, right? Or something like that. So
where players go to die.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be a lot more movement this year. Trades up,
yes.
Trades down. I think it's going to be a very big. The next pick has been traded. The next pick's been traded, and you may take 30 minutes to get one team because they keep resetting the clock by trading. I think you're going to see a lot of that before and during the draft.
And it's speaking of before, I honestly really think there's going to be a lot of moving pieces before we get to this point of Roger Goodell getting on a stage and being booed. I just think
already said we're taking offers.
Yeah. And the other thing too, now I think they increase the cap, right?
Yeah.
And they increase they increase the cap.
They do that every year.
But it's a significant bump for some of these teams, especially my team. We've been in cap nightmare for a long time. Thanks Russell Wilson for that. But I wish we only have one more year of that left, so thank goodness. But yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see where these pieces go. I do want to bring up the Aaron Rodgers situation. I don't know if there was a show when we had that talked about that before all this news broke out regarding him. But did you guys even talk about that yet? Or
I think we mentioned that the Jets have decided to move on, but we didn't ever really go in depth on where we thought he'd go or
and that's the big question. Where is Aaron Rodgers going to go? Where do we think he might go? I know some people there's a rumor going around that he's going to go to a contender.
Right.
Where that is, I don't know. He's 41, man. And I made a short kind of just poking fun at that. Of him just being the old man going out there and he also the fact that he reportedly begged the Giants to keep him, kind of like just didn't want to leave there. But I'm like, he's at a weird position at his age. The NFL now is not the same player that he was before. So
no, he did not have a good like if he'd had a good statistical season, but they just had some bad breaks.
Yes,
maybe that's one thing. But he basically just showed the world he was washed up. I mean, he didn't look good. He doesn't. He's not willing to work with anybody. He doesn't. Put in the work. He just thinks, hey, I'm Aaron Rodgers. I don't have to go to camp. I had this trip scheduled to Belize or wherever he went. Deal. You can't make your own rules.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing is a lot of people, we like we love to hate Tom Brady, but the thing is
Right,
Tom Brady played for a long time because he was dedicated to doing it every day. And
right.
more so as he got better, as his career went further down the road and he became a lot more successful, that intensified. You have to do it even more. So
Yeah,
it's
went on
like,
some special diet, went on,
yep,
workout plans. He was at camp every year. He was in the film room every year. He was in like you don't play as long as Brady played at the level he played unless you like you said, the old Mamba mentality.
right.
You better be the first one there. And Brady, he'd be walking up and down the sidelines yelling at guys, expecting more out of them than they could expect out of themselves. And that's why if you go ask Edelman and all them guys, he's like, yeah, he was an asshole, but we knew that by him being that, we were going to win because he wasn't going to expect anything less.
Yeah, yeah. And I just who knows where he goes. I'm looking at it like it's kind of sad.
Minnesota would be epic.
It's sad to
Follow Suarez
see.
trail.
It's sad to see uh, players that just maybe they went too far
Right.
in. They went too
Refuse to head.
long. They waited too long. And I've had the fortunate enough ability to see two quarterbacks from the team that I root for leave on top. Right, I saw Peyton Manning leave on top. That was cool, and I saw John Elway leave on top. And you don't really see that very often. It's kind of this, they leave on a stretcher,
Right.
or like Andrew Luck, they just retire abruptly, and
Yeah.
you're like, whoa,
And they
what
won the
happened?
preseason game.
So it's
Um,
just, it sucks, but it sucks for Aaron Rodgers, because I know he still probably loves playing in the NFL. I just think that time's up, man. I think the
Father
time has
Time
gotten
is
to him.
undefeated.
Yeah, and
And
if he let's say he changes something, he goes to a team and he's there and he's first one in the door, all that stuff, then who knows what might happen. But I think at this point, anyone betting on Aaron Rodgers doing anything significant with another team, yes, that's a losing bet, man. I just don't see it
I
happening.
just don't see the opening that now there was rumor of if Stafford leaves the Rams
I
that
heard the Rams.
he goes over to LA and plays for McVay. I don't know if him and McVay get along, but
Yeah.
um
And
but
also, wasn't there a story that the Jets reportedly said you can't go on the McAfee show?
yeah,
Wasn't
so
that
that was
something that was
that
also a problem?
I so from the way I read it was they said, "Hey, listen, we want to bring you back." And Rodgers was like, "Great. I didn't think this was a possibility, but let's do it." They're like, "Well, we got some stipulations. You got to be at camp. We can't have you off gallivanting around the world." Da 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 da. And he's like, "Well, I never really go to camp." They're like, "Well, that's why we're saying it, right?" And then they said the stipulation about the McAfee show, and he didn't understand the harm in it. He's like, "We're just talking sports," and they're like, "No, you talk trash about us on the McAfee show and put all our business out there." He's like, "We're not doing it."
Yeah.
And basically they laid out all these stipulations, and Rodgers is like, "Well, no to that one, no to that one, and no to the," and they're like, "Well, no to you being here," and let him walk out the door. And so the Jets did try, but they said he was going to do it under their terms, and he didn't want to
Yeah.
meet their terms. So, um, man, it'll be interesting to see if he has anything left in the tank because it sure does not look like right now at the what he's at the tape that he's putting out that he has anything left in the tank and should just retire.
Yeah, I completely agree. Um, I guess if we shift focus a bit, I oh, okay, so we're shifting a little bit back to baseball for a second. The Yankees made a decision change policy wise. I may do a video about this, one-off video, kind of talking about it as well. But um, I it's okay. The policy change came from Hal Steinbrenner. They did a sit down meeting with Brian Cashman, Hal Steinbrenner, kind of a spring training thing. Just talking about whatever, right? Not quite sure exactly what the main topic was, but this probably was the main topic. And they had to talk about the beard policy in the Yankees organization and how they've handled it over the years and the implications of handling it the way they've been handling it. Um, as a fan of the team, this is never really talked about a whole lot amongst fans. It's just not like I think that people like the fans don't really think about it a whole lot. Because it's just it's always been a thing. I think now, according to Hal Steinbrenner, basically in a rough quote, from what I gathered from what he was when he was speaking about this, he basically ran it down to the long lines of, we've had this policy for many years. It's like a very traditional, old school way of running it. No facial hair, look clean cut, no long hair, but you can't go past a certain length. Things like that were something that was a part of it for a very long time. I don't know how far that goes, and that's one of the things I want to do a video on kind of going into a deep dive of that, of kind of how far that went and when it started. But one of the things he mentioned was, we don't want to negate getting talent based off this policy. And if his dad, George, would have maybe not have been able to get Reggie Jackson, right? Because of the beard policy, because of the long hair policy. Even though there are pictures of Reggie Jackson where I'm like, man, that's skating a fine line. And I think George was kind of like, yeah, whatever, do what you want, but just don't go crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I think that, this kind of folds into this season too. They ended up getting up a top closer from the Brewers. And he had a beard most of his, even though most of his career at this point, but going into spring training, he kind of had one going into the building, and people were like, is he gonna do something about that? Like, because he's about to get talked to probably. His name is I cannot remember this dude's name, but off the top of my head, but I'm gonna, when he came in, he ended up obviously shaving. But one of the rumors was that he talked to Hal Steinbrenner about this. And that was one of the, I guess, it's Devin Williams, by the way. There's articles about this guy, and he basically he came from the Brewers. He went up to Hal Steinbrenner and basically said, hey, maybe we take a look at this, because some players don't come here because of that policy, whether it's a personality trait, an expression, so to speak. Some people are insecure, man, and they put a beard on. It's also that too. So needless to say, they reversed it. They're not going to allow a bunch of craziness, so I wouldn't necessarily expect like a Dallas Keuchel situation, right, where we got a beard down to here. But I think they say, as long as you trim it and keep it clean,
we're not going to look like Charlie Blackmon, like Captain Caveman.
Yeah, right. So as long as you keep it clean, I think they're, and the fact that they're even like lenient on this, I think is a good thing. It shows that Hal is kind of like, look, this is a dumb thing. Like, why are we still doing this? And it may also be something he never really thought about till now, because the fans don't think about it.
No, yeah, and if you don't have a bunch of players coming up and arguing about it, then it's not a thing. The running joke that I read on the deal after they did this was, they took one look at Cody Bellinger without his beard and said, no, we're not going to do this, and implemented back into the deal.
I don't remember if did Garrett Cole have a beard when he played for Houston?
I think he had some kind of facial hair.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I think several of those guys did, and it's kind of brought up here and there when you had guys like that be traded. Oh, what are they going to do? Oh, what are they going to do? But they always just shave it, and they always
They do.
and
Johnny Damon was one of the shockers of
yes,
all. I
I mean,
saw him with a
Captain
beard.
Caveman alert as well. The hair was, I mean, a mess. The beard was a mess, and he
Yeah,
trims it all up and played for years and played well and
yeah. I remember when he came to the Yankees, and I was
right.
like, "That he's gonna look
Oh
weird, man."
yeah, yeah. I've never seen him without it. You know, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
all you knew. That's all you knew was Damon as a wild child.
yeah. So I mean,
So if Damon
I'm
can do it, anybody can do it.
yeah, that's true. So I mean, I'm bringing it up, mainly because as a fan of the team, as a fan of of the organization, I've watched since I was a child, Jeter, and just watching, and then going into the history, I had an entire DVD thing just kind of going into the history of the team, which is pretty wild. It's a long series, but but yeah. So I mean, I figured I'd talk about it. I know, I think Brian had mentioned that we bring it up, and I guess since I'm a fan of the team, it's something that would make sense for me to talk about too. So, but yeah, I mean, other than that, is there anything else maybe that came up recently you might want to bring up? Or I wasn't on here. I don't think I was on here to go in kind of in depth a bit on the whole Luka thing. I think you guys may have touched on that last time.
Well, there's a little bit of we did touch on it, and we let you put in your 2 cents. But um did you see today's um news? What the Mavericks are doubling down?
Um, Yeah, I think I know what the one thing that popped into my head was that the Mavericks have been editing Luka out on social media. They've been kind of blacking out his image, which is so
There's a
weird.
new fan policy. You
No
cannot wear
jerseys.
you cannot wear a Luka jersey. We're trying to move on from him, and we don't want the remembrance of Luka Dončić in our arena. Are you absolutely kidding me right now? If I showed up to the Dallas Mavericks arena and had a Luka jersey on and was told I can't enter the stadium because I'm supporting Luka, I would laugh at you and walk right through the gate. I paid
First
my
of
money.
all, it's like, how is that even a thing? Like, honestly, you're going into okay, right. What if I wanted to wear, even though he's now part of the organization? Well, I'll take it back. Steve Nash,
Yeah,
he left.
it's no different.
If I went into that organization in a Mav game wearing a Steve Nash old school Mav jersey,
A
would they
Dirk
kick me
jersey.
out? Would they kick me out? Like, no. I think that the difference with Dirk is Dirk retired. Steve Nash did leave though. Steve
Right.
Nash literally said, "I'm going to go get more money over here.
Went
Goodbye."
and played for Phoenix.
Um,
Went and played for multiple teams.
right. So if that were the case, would they say, "Hey, get that off and get out of here. You're not a part of
We're trying
this."
to move on from Steve
We're
Nash.
trying, yeah, we're trying to move on from Steve Nash. So it's so ridiculous. I don't know what's going on with the organization. This organization has been frustrating ever since this whole Luka thing happened. I did catch a couple of things where somebody was
Kicking
talking
people
about,
out.
yeah, kicking people out for holding signs,
If
and
they
then
fired Nico.
the other thing too, and this is something that has been brought up recently, is that Laker fans are not into Luka. I don't know why. I think they're sitting there. They're getting frustrated with him. He had the minutes, kind of
Minute
locked
restriction.
minutes. Yeah,
Minute
minutes
restriction the
restrictions.
first game.
And so they're kind of like. And when he's out there, he's not himself.
Well, they're saying
Um,
that the Lakers are using him as basically, hey, we traded Luca for Max Christie. They're using him in the off the ball role, and he's standing out on the wing, going, hey guys, I'm open, and King James and all these guys are rotating the ball, and Luka's just out here on the wing going, where do I
Right.
fit in? Now, is that just a temporary until we get everybody fit together, or are they really going to use Luka as just an off the wing
Decoy. That's what he
decoy?
is. He is a decoy. He is a hey.
And
You're gonna be all focused on this guy while we score.
you talk about an absolute misuse of a
Yes,
generational talent
yes.
by standing him out here and using him as a decoy.
And
Uh,
the other thing too is that one of the things mentioned, I think it was on ESPN show. I can't remember which one, but Stephen A. Smith was on it, and there was a few other people. He had brought up the fact that the Lakers are going to have a time. Like they're going to have a time making sure to convince him that what they're going to put on the table, and I think they tried with getting a center and they failed at it. He failed his physical, but the thing about it is, what are you going to get in here? What are you going to show him that is going to prove make him extend? If I'll say this much, and the guy even said Luka didn't pick them. He never talked about being a Laker. He never even mentioned it. The only thing he ever mentioned with the Lakers was Kobe Bryant. That's it.
Right.
And that was that. And who wouldn't? Right. Like, honestly, what player is like, yeah, you know what? I don't like that guy. Like, what a horrible player. It's like, what? No, they're all going to be right there. They're all going to be lined up saying, no, Kobe's one of the best and one of the greats of all time. It was infuriating to see him win constant championships with Lakers because I wasn't a fan of the team. But I know greatness. All right. Like, I'm not blind to it. So when you put all those into perspective, if Luka didn't pick them, they need to convince him to stay there. This isn't a good convincing thing to sit there and use him the way you're using him.
I mean, LeBron's going to retire. He's got
when?
Well, he's got maybe a year left. I mean, he's 41.
They're talking about 2 more years with LeBron. If we do 2 more years with LeBron,
I can't handle 2 more years of King James.
You know what does that mean? That just means, oh wait, you're still not your team, Luka. So what is he going to do? If he decides to hit the free agent market, I'm telling you right now, he's gone from LA and he will go somewhere else. And if I were to guess where Luka would go in free agency, I want him in Dallas, of course. I don't see it happening because of what went down, unless all of a sudden they give Mark Cuban back his ownership stake and things change. Now that would be pretty wild, and the story on that would be nuts. But if I were to guess where he goes, I will guess right now. I could see him in Denver. I could see him playing with Jokic. They are friends. They like each other. Oddly enough, they're playing against him tonight. But they are close. These guys always have been in closeness, playing even internationally. So I could see that crazy scenario. And someone brought that scenario up to me just jokingly, like 6 months ago. And I'm like, yeah, right. Think again.
Yeah.
And now that's a possibility.
Because you never thought he was leaving Dallas. You thought he was going to
sign
a max contract in the offseason for another $300 million and off into the sunset, and he'd always be a Lake or always be a Maverick, and he would be the next Dirk. And then Nico Collins goes to a coffee shop and trades him for a bag of peanuts and a bag of marbles, and away we go.
I mean, Patrick's talking about it right now on here, and I'll just show it up here right now. I mean, this whole thing of going to Vegas, dude, like, I as much as I don't want to believe it, it stinks.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
It smells. Something isn't right. Something is rotten there. And it's just like when you have all these little pieces, like these little bitty pieces that come around, and it's just like,
Nico. You can't wear a Luka jersey.
Yeah.
They're
literally destroying a fan base. And they're doing it in a way where, if you think about it, let's just break it down for a second. If you actually break down that reasons as to why, it's pretty wild. So again, Texas gambling is not legal in the state of Texas outside of a reservation. Because I think there is a casino, but it's on a reservation. So sports gambling, nothing. You can't do it. That's why those apps always have the states on there that are disqualified from using them. So their whole thing was they went all chips in. Let's just put the scenario in. They went chips in and said, we're going to actually go in here and we're going to bet that sports betting or betting in Texas will be legal. And once it happens, we're going to build our new arena with a casino engulfed in it, right? So, okay, it didn't pass. What do you do now? Well, why didn't it pass? We put all this money and effort into it. And these are billionaires that own this franchise now, that own the majority of this franchise. So all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, well, because of that, let's just delegitimize this franchise. So let's have it to where we have everyone not buying jerseys, not going to the games, not buying tickets, protesting outside the arena, putting coffins out there. And then before that, we're going to trade the most precious item that the fans wanted. And when that happens, we'll delegitimize this franchise. We will show the NBA, look how powerful we are. Look how powerful we are to destroy this franchise. And if you don't want to play ball and getting us deal signed whenever we want to gambling past here, if you don't do it this next time, we're gone. They want to be the first and main casino-driven, family-organized thing where they own all of those casinos in Dallas because that's their goal. They want those casinos in Dallas. And here's the thing. The one little caveat to this is that the NBA has been wanting a team in Vegas for years. This is something that they are just going to go, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. And of course, the NBA is now, you have the commissioner talking about this situation.
And why not, instead of putting an expansion franchise, put a franchise that's well known?
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. You have a commissioner who literally had to talk about this. Because that's what people have been bringing up, and he's like, they were right to do that. To do what? To trade off a piece? Sure, yeah, and they're in their right because they own the team, but knowing that they were literally going to destroy, and then this whole thing of some of these organization pieces that are like, we didn't think it would be that crazy.
Yeah.
What?
No, they did.
We underestimated that.
Underestimated the temperature of the room drastically.
What craziness. There are literal kids wearing these jerseys. There's literal people that named their child after this guy. And you're going to sit there and go, well, we just, Jason Kidd. I don't know.
He's like, when did you find out? He goes, about 3 minutes before you did when they called me into the deal. So we're having a press conference.
Ultimately, the best case scenario, people, they passed the bill. Because I think, hopefully, and I have to have some bit of hope because, come on, Mark Cuban, we got to have you here. Pass the bill, let them control the casino part, and then they give the team most of the majority of the stake of the team back to Mark Cuban. Majority of the stake, where he makes the overall, he has the overall decision-making. Thank you. Yes. And process. That's what I mean. They get to have their casino business, and Mark Cuban gets his team back.
I thought when he did this that he kept enough that he still had final say so.
That's what I thought.
Basketball operation.
That's what I thought.
But apparently I was wrong because he said if there was ever a chance to trade in Luka, he said, I have a better chance of you seeing me leave a divorce attorney's office than I do trade Luka Dončić. And so I don't know. I don't know where this came from, but it's really,
and it just gets
worse.
Yeah, like every week we get something new out of this whole thing, right. and
it was we're gonna remove fans for having signs. This week it's you can't wear the jersey in the side of the stadium.
You know what? Every fan in Dallas should do right now. Every fan going to these Mavericks games. Here's the thing: every fan going to the Mavericks games, hide it. Don't show them when you come in there. And you know how they used to do those little face cutouts with the holes in the eyes?
Yep.
Every one of them, once that game starts, pop them out. And all the fans just put those faces of Luka on right there. Just the face of Luka. And what are they going to do? Kick everyone out. I doubt it.
Stop the game. Stop the game.
Stop the game. Turn off the broadcast. Like, it doesn't.
25,000 people got to leave the AAC.
That would be wild. That right there would be one of the craziest things ever in sports in terms of fandom and the way fans react to a situation. It would be wild. Absolutely crazy. And I would love every minute of it because it's well deserved. It's crazy. This whole situation's been nuts, man. Who is Patrick?
Boston Old Ranger Stadium.
I mean, and the thing about it is, all the Dallas DFW, when they go gamble, they go to Choctaw, they go to Shreveport,
right?
And unfortunately, if we have this monopoly and that's the thing, is there'll be a monopoly at first. I'm sure there'll be more ownerships, investments, and stuff like that as the time goes on that they've passed it. But the first initial casinos are going to be the Sands, and they're going to own all of those. They're going to be putting some in Dallas. They're probably going to be putting some in Fort Worth. They're probably going to put some in Arlington. I mean, they're going to be everywhere. They're going to be trying to.
Oh, Jerry wants his hand in it.
Oh, I'm sure Jerry will. I'm sure Jerry will try. But it'll be fascinating. Actually, I think Jerry Jones will put a casino right there by the Cowboy Stadium. Why not? 100%. Why not? 100%. Why not? You have that all year. You could put concerts over there too, and you could have multiple concert. Who knows? I mean, Jerry's going to do whatever he wants to make some extra money because, everybody's got not enough, right? But yeah, outside of that, I think this was I don't know what's going on with them. I'm excited. I'm actually intrigued to see what happens with the Mavericks franchise. I'm not necessarily paying attention to them. It's the excitement.
They've made themselves irrelevant.
Yeah, the excitement is gone. I used to be excited when he played because it was fun. I watched that whole playoff run. That was amazing.
Played a whole half of the game.
Yeah. So
street clothes lives up to his name again.
It's hard to watch him play for the Lakers. I think that's the other thing too. If he came to the Nuggets, I would have been like, oh yeah, cool, I'd watch. But like to see him play for the Lakers, it's not exciting to me.
The way they're using him, it's just
yeah. So we'll see what happens. Again, glass half full. They pass the bill. Mark Cuban gets his ownership back, and these billionaires get their casino. But we'll see. But yeah, other than that, man, that's all I got. That's I think that's kind of the show for tonight. So I just want to thank everybody who has been watching, who has been interacting. Patrick, for sure. Let's see. Oh, Patrick had some more on here. And also, anybody wanting to catch any of the new stuff or anything like that, I do put shorts out here and there. I haven't been doing it as much this because it's kind of been a slow news cycle the last couple of weeks. So there wasn't a whole lot for me to really talk about or react to. So yeah, but Brian should be back next week, I assume. I'm not sure. And
I don't think there's another birthday, so I think we're all right.
And I may or may not. I will be at my mom's, but I might actually be able to do it. This last time I was at my mom's, I couldn't. I had to go to Cripple Creek, so I was in the mountains at that point. There was no way. But I might be able to do it at my mom's. I'll bring my my earbuds, and I should be able to just do it from the phone. But yeah, anybody watching, reacting, watch some of our old stuff. We have other shows that we've done outside of our shorts that we do sometimes. So, and we're going to be also focusing on trying to also do some one-off videos, reacting to things and of the such. Brian did one yesterday. If you haven't looked at it, go check it out. Also like the videos, they really help. And subscribe and go to YouTube. That's our main bread and butter is where YouTube is. We are everywhere, but that's where, if you want to help the show out, that's where to go help it out. But yeah, other than that, we're changing our tag. We're not going to say the Outspoken Network anymore. I don't know if people caught on to that or not, but we did change that up a bit. We're trying to basically fine tune the show a bit and focus on
Make
the
it a
core
little
of it.
easier to find.
Make it a little easier to find, sports related only. So we are just doing a couple of changes there. So I want to thank everybody for watching the show, interacting with it. I'm trying to think of a tagline, but if anything, I'll just say have a good night. We will see you next week. And
Share it with your
Craig?
friends.
Yeah, share it with your friends. All right.
All right. Good night.
There we go. We're good. We're done.